Hour 0. The fall. It happens without warning. You're on the deck of a sailboat, a friend's boat, a weekend trip. A wave hits harder than anyone expected. You go over the rail before you even understand what's happening. By the time you surface and turn around, the boat is already 20 meters away and moving. You shout. The wind carries it sideways. You shout again. You can see someone moving on the deck, but they're looking at the sail, not behind them. You watch the boat sail away. It takes less than 4 minutes. One moment you're above the waterline, part of a crew, part of a plan. The next, you are alone in open ocean, treading water, watching the stern of a boat disappear into the horizon. The water temperature is 24 degrees Celsius. This is important because in cold water, below about 15 degrees, hypothermia would be your primary threat within hours. At 24 degrees, your body can maintain its core temperature for much longer. You won't die from the cold quickly. You'll die from everything else, in a sequence that unfolds over days with a logic as relentless as physics. Right now, your body doesn't know that. Right now, your body thinks it's in a crisis that will resolve in minutes. Hour 1. The adrenaline. Your bloodstream is flooded with adrenaline. Your heart rate has jumped above 120 beats per minute. Your breathing is rapid and shallow. You feel a strange, electric clarity, everything in hyperfocus. Your mind cycling through options faster than you can evaluate them. You look in every direction. Nothing. No coastline. No other vessels. Nothing but water to every horizon and a sky that tells you nothing except that the sun is still up and it's afternoon. You make your first smart decision. You stop panicking and stop swimming hard. Swimming burns energy and causes you to sweat, accelerating dehydration. An adult human swimming hard can cover perhaps 2 to 3 kilometers per hour at most and sustain that effort for maybe 30 minutes before exhaustion. In open ocean with no visible destination, directional swimming is almost always a mistake. A person who swims hard for 2 hours in the wrong direction has spent themselves and moved perhaps 4 kilometers, still an impossible distance from anywhere. You switch to a float position, on your back, arms out, minimal movement. The sea is your environment now. You do not fight it. Your life jacket, the one you were wearing because you had good habits on boats, is already doing the work. Without it, the exhaustion of treading water for hours would become its own countdown. With it, your body's energy reserves are suddenly your most valuable resource. You begin rationing them immediately. Hour 3. The inventory. 3 hours in, the adrenaline has faded. What's left is the reality. You do a physical inventory. Life jacket. The clothes on your body. Nothing else. No phone, no flare, no water. The phone went into the ocean with you and is somewhere 3,688 meters below, or close enough to it. The flare was in a locker on the boat. You think about the boat. You think about whether anyone noticed yet. The answer you arrive at is probably yes, by now. Someone has done a head count, found you missing, and turned around. They are looking. Here's the number that matters. A person in open water is an object roughly 30 centimeters above the waterline. The radar horizon from a boat deck is approximately 8 to 12 nautical miles. Visually, a human head in water is nearly invisible beyond a few hundred meters, especially with any wave action at all. They are looking. Whether they find you is a different calculation entirely. You decide to believe they will, not because you know this to be true. Because the alternative to that belief, the rational assessment of your actual odds, is not compatible with the psychological state required to survive the next 72 hours. You consciously choose hope over arithmetic, and that choice is itself a survival decision. Hour 6. The sun. 6 hours in, the sun is doing things to you. You have no hat, no shade. The water reflects UV radiation back up from below, meaning you're being exposed from both directions simultaneously. Your face, your neck, the backs of your hands, everything above the waterline is burning. By hour 6, your skin is red. By hour 12, it will begin to blister. Sunburn is not a minor inconvenience in this context. Damaged skin loses its ability to regulate moisture. The fluid loss through burned skin accelerates the dehydration that is, at this point, your single most important countdown. You submerge your face periodically to cool it. You pull your shirt up over your head when the sun is directly overhead. You are also thirsty. The irony of the ocean is absolute here. You are surrounded by 1.335 billion cubic kilometers of water, and you cannot drink any of it. Seawater contains about 3.5% salt, roughly 3 times the concentration your kidneys can process. If you drink it, your kidneys demand more water to flush the excess salt than the seawater itself contained. You become more dehydrated with every sip than if you'd drunk nothing. Sailors who drank seawater in desperation died faster than those who didn't. You know this. You leave the water around you untouched. Hour 18, the night. 18 hours in, the sun sets, and the temperature drops enough to feel it. At 24 degrees Celsius water temperature, your body is fighting to maintain a core temperature of 37. It's winning, but it's spending calories to do it. Calories you have no way to replace. You are burning through your glycogen stores, then your fat reserves. A reasonably fit adult has enough fat reserves to survive without food for weeks. But combine that with constant heat regulation, with the physical work of maintaining position in water, with the salt in the water drawing moisture through your skin even as you float, and the timeline compresses. The night is psychologically the hardest part. There is nothing to look at, no horizon, because it's dark, no stars, because there's cloud cover tonight. Just the sound of water and the feeling of vast, three-dimensional emptiness below you, 4 kilometers of it, straight down. This is where your mind starts to work against you. Your brain, deprived of visual input and under stress, begins to fill the darkness with things, shapes in the water, sounds that might be engines, the certainty, for a moment, that something is moving below you. You know, these are stress responses, sensory deprivation effects, the brain's pattern recognition system running on too little data. Knowing this does not make them stop. The sharks cross your mind. Of course they do. What you know rationally is that unprovoked shark attacks on floating humans are extraordinarily rare, that sharks are not the primary threat in open ocean survival, that you are statistically more likely to survive the week in shark-populated waters than to die of a shark attack. What your nervous system knows is that there is 3,600 meters of dark water directly below you. The rational brain and the survival brain are not having the same conversation tonight. You focus on breathing. In for 4 counts, out for 4 counts. It's something to count. Day 2, the thirst. By the morning of day 2, the thirst has become the most significant physical fact of your existence. The human body loses about 2 litres of water per day under normal conditions, more in heat, more with physical exertion. You have been in warm salt water for 24 hours. Your lips are cracked. Your mouth produces almost no saliva. Swallowing has become an event, something you notice each time because there is so little moisture to facilitate it. Dehydration at 5% of body weight causes headaches, dizziness, and impaired judgment. At 10%, you begin to lose consciousness and organ function starts to deteriorate. At 15 to 20%, the situation becomes unsurvivable without medical intervention. You are, by now, somewhere around 3 to 4%, not yet critical, but the direction is fixed and the rate is not slowing. A cloud passes overhead and releases a brief, light rain. You tilt your head back and open your mouth. You catch perhaps 2 or 3 mouthfuls. It is not enough to reverse anything, but it is something, and something matters more right now than the arithmetic suggests. You also see, at mid-morning, a cargo ship on the horizon. You wave your arms. You shout. The ship is perhaps 8 kilometers away. It moves across the horizon and disappears in 11 minutes. Nobody saw you. The crew of a cargo ship does not typically scan the water between shifts. You are a tiny dot in an enormous ocean, and you are not on anyone's radar screen because you are not a vessel. You are a person, and persons do not appear on maritime radar. You stop watching the horizon for ships and start watching it for weather instead. Rain is survival. Day 3, the calculus. By the morning of day 3, your mind has arrived at a place it cannot leave. You know, with reasonable precision, how the mathematics of this work. You have been in the water for 60+ hours. Without fresh water, the outer limit of survival is roughly 3 days in hot conditions, 5 to 7 in cooler ones. You are somewhere in the middle. Your reserves are not empty, but they are measurably lower than yesterday morning, and measurably lower again than this morning. Hallucinations have begun. Not dramatic ones. Not yet. Just moments where something on the horizon resolves into a shape that isn't there. A coastline that turns back into clouds when you focus on it. A voice that turns out to be wind over wave. There's a particular psychological phenomenon documented in survival literature called the third man factor, a sense of a benevolent presence alongside you, a companion you can almost hear, almost see, that many solo survivors in extreme situations have described independently. It isn't a hallucination exactly. It's something the mind constructs under extreme stress, a coping mechanism, a co-pilot the brain assembles from nothing because it cannot function alone at this level of extremity. You are not afraid of it. Whatever it is company. You are still floating. You are still breathing. You have not given up. This is the entire definition of survival at this stage. Not winning, just continuing. Day 3. The rescue. At 14:23 on day 3, a Coast Guard helicopter appears on the northern horizon. It's flying a search pattern, a grid, systematic. They've been looking for 71 hours. They find you because your friend on the boat, the one you watched sail away, turned around within 9 minutes of losing you, the moment they did the head count. The search zone was calculated from that position, your drift estimated from current data, and expanded across 3 days of searching in widening circles. You were pulled from the water by a rescue swimmer. Your core temperature is 35.1 degrees, mild hypothermia despite the warm water, because 3 days is 3 days. Your blood pressure is low. You are severely dehydrated, enough to require IV fluid replacement over 24 hours. You have second-degree sunburn across your face, neck, and hands. You have lost 4.2 kilograms in 71 hours. In the helicopter, wrapped in a thermal blanket with an IV line in your arm, you look down at the water. It looks exactly the same as it did when you fell in. The same color, the same emptiness, the same absolute indifference to whether anyone is in it or not. That indifference is the thing nobody tells you about the ocean. It isn't hostile. It doesn't want you dead. It simply doesn't register that you exist. And operating in something that vast and that indifferent, with no tools, no help, and no way to change the arithmetic of dehydration and sun exposure, is one of the most physiologically and psychologically extreme situations a human body can find itself in. Most people who fall overboard in open ocean are not found, not because rescue doesn't happen. Because the ocean is very large, and a human head is very small, and the window between falling in and dying from dehydration, even in warm water, is measured in days. You were found. That part was luck. The part where you were still alive when they found you, still floating, still conscious, still choosing hope over arithmetic for 71 hours.